Hey everyone, today in art class we are going to be doing some oil pastel techniques. So you'll have a sheet that looks like this and an oil pastel of any color of your choice. So just follow along with this video, watch me do a step, pause the video, and then you do the step. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice controlling our value with oil pastels. Remember, value is how light or dark something is. So in the dark box, I'm filling it in as dark as my oil pastel can go. In the medium box, I'm not putting quite as much pressure on. I'm trying to fill it in a medium value. And then in my light box, I am hardly pressing down at all. I'm just kind of dragging the oil pastel across that space to make it nice and light. And with our oil pastels, we can also use blending stumps. To clean your blending stump, you just need a piece of sandpaper, and you can just kind of rub the end of it on the sandpaper, and that will get the excess color off. And our blending stumps can be used to kind of fill in any white spaces left behind, especially when you're doing a medium or a light value with an oil pastel. It's hard to fill in the spaces, but with the blending stump, it can kind of help you make it look a little bit more solid. Next, we are going to use the same color and do a pressure scale. So you're kind of trying to make a gradient or make a seamless transition from dark to light. So as you can see, I'm filling this in pretty dark, and then as I go towards the right, it is getting lighter and lighter because I'm not pressing quite as hard until the very end when I am hardly pressing at all. And once I have it kind of filled in dark to light, I'm going to use my blending stump to blend it all together and make it look even more seamless. So that blending stump can be used to kind of drag the oil pastel across the paper a little bit to fill in any white spots and to kind of blend everything together to make it look a little bit nicer. The next technique we're going to do is called a tint. That is when you fade a color to white or you add white to a color to make it lighter. So you're going to need a white oil pastel and a color of your choice. I'm going to be using blue and fading it to white. So I'm going to start on the left side of the box, pressing kind of hard like I did with my pressure scale. And as I move towards the right, I am easing up on the pressure and kind of fading it out to nothing. After I've done that for a second, I'm going to pick up my white oil pastel and do the same thing but the opposite direction. So I'm just coloring with white and then overlapping on top of my blue, not all the way to the left though, just a little bit of overlap in the middle. Then, after I have added some white and I have a nice transition from dark to light, I'm going to use my blending stump, but I still have that purple on it from before. So I'm going to use my sandpaper and clean it off. Then blend my colors together. So if tint means to make something lighter, shade means to make something darker. So we are going to fade one color to a darker color. So I have pink and red. And I'm going to do the opposite of what I've been doing. Instead of starting dark, I'm going to start light on the left side of the box and go darker as I go towards the right. And I'm not filling in the whole box, probably about 2/3 of the way. So once I've gone light to dark, I can use my darker color and overlap right in that middle section a little bit light and then press a little bit harder to make it darker as I go towards the right. So what you end up with is a lighter color on one side that fades to a darker color on the other. And just like I've been doing, I'm going to use my blending stump after I clean it with my sandpaper. And I'm going to blend that all together to make a nice smooth transition. Now for our last two techniques, we are going to be doing the same thing, but I want you to try two different colors. So choose one color and fill in the box nice and solid. So I chose pink, and I'm just filling in that whole box pretty dark. There's not a lot of white showing. And now I'm going to take a second color. I'm using blue, and I'm coloring right on top of that pink. After you have filled in the second color, you will use the small wooden tools at your table to scratch through that top layer so it exposes the bottom color underneath it. And for the last box, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to experiment with two different colors. For this one, I'm using green on the bottom and black on top to see what it looks like when I scratch through. And here's our finished oil pastel technique worksheet. Please make sure your name gets on the top of it before you turn it in. Have fun, everyone!